What's up, tribe? Thank you for being here and welcome to my channel. Today's post is titled Center and Periphery, and as it's a dialogue between Matias and his higher self, I'll be referring to Matias as me and to his higher self as I am. Me, if death does not exist and life is a constant, and life is a constant with moments of transformation, then existence itself that refers to what I am in a certain way is immovable. That is something that is constant and eternal and moves without end. In conceptual terms, it is the same thing as something fixed, since when rotating on itself as a constant system, everything is self-referenced as a center. So when we talk about purpose, direction, are we really talking about movement and life? Or maybe life doesn't even really exist, and the path is just a perception. I am. This brings us to a complex plane of philosophy, where the fixed and the moved are the same. Let's start with the graphic way of understanding this. Life and death, when represented in ancient times as a circle with a point in the middle, it represented the beginning and end of things in constant motion through the path of existence. The point in the middle could represent the sun, symbol of life, although it could also represent the moon as a symbol of death. The circle around it implied everything that had been traveled, the path of existence that emerged from the origin of the center, generating the idea of the earth itself, which ended again at the same point. To this symbol, you used to add two transverse lines that divide the radius of the circle into 4 equal fractions. A vertical line would represent time, and another horizontal would represent space. From the terrestrial vision, these 4 lines represent the 4 times: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And from the spatial vision, they represent north, south, east, and west. We call this the crucifixion of the self. Me, how does this relate to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ? I am. All the peoples of the earth knew the solstices and equinoxes, and based their calendars, dividing the year into 4 groups of 3 months each, or into 2 parts of 6 months, plus 1 that represented the center. The lunar month, 13. In the Middle East and Europe was popular knowledge and celebration, as their parties were based on stellar and stationary calendars. Everyone knew the symbol of the cross long before Jesus appeared. The circle represented the earth, and the center, the halo of light or solar disk. The cross was the times. and everyone knew that there was the divinity of life and death, that is, of constant resurrection. When Christianity sought to position Jesus as the Messiah, the Savior, they placed his image in the place of the Son, in front of the cross, so that everyone could relate that he was the Son of God, Sun, and of the Virgin, Moon, on earth, circle, beyond times and spaces, the cross, and who marked his sacredness were the three kings of heaven, the belt of Orion, who opened the way of the Milky Way from east to west. Thus, the entire population of the Mediterranean world could accept the Savior with total ease. It makes sense. So what we attribute to the story of Jesus Christ is nothing more than astronomical symbolism applied to people. I am. Jesus was one more, because there were hundreds that, throughout history, have been related to these same concepts. Well, when a human was considered an enlightened one, he had the honor of recognizing himself in the center of the circle, being part of the divine. So to connect to the divine, it is necessary to be in the center. I am. Do you know what a fractal is? Yes. It comes from the word fraction, which is a part equivalent to the whole. The same in shape, but in different proportions. How to split a triangle into many triangles. I am. The circle and the point in its center are just a fractal. The closer you get to the point, you will see that it is also a circle that contains a point at its center, no matter how deep you go or how far you go. It will always be this way. An eternal, psychedelic image in which the point becomes a circle in its expansion, and the circle becomes a point in its contraction. This shows you the greatest paradox of the universe. Everything that seems to move, transform, advance, everything that is interpreted as life, is nothing more than this same fixed point, static in nothingness. Something that you can only understand in its transformation process, not because it moves, but because your mind interprets its aspects. The idea of depth arises from your brain's capacity to understand it, but it's an optical illusion. For this reason, there is only the mind in the universe. Wait a minute. But what about the law of vibration, of rhythm, of polarity, that energy always transforms, that the universe is constantly changing? Evolution, everything we see and perceive is life and transformation. I am. This is all based on physics. And what is physics based on? In quantum, which is metaphysics. I am. So if physics is based on metaphysics, what is the only possible law in the universe? Imagination? Mind? I am. Mentalism. Everything is perception. Everything is an illusory game, worth the redundancy. In the universe there is only emptiness, which is neither black nor white. It is empty, where a single point, observed with imagination, gives infinite possibilities. Me. But for something to be observed, there must be an observer. I am. The observer exists only because of the observed. Nobody owns the mind, because the mind is in itself. There is no observer until the mind considers that there is something to observe. Me. It's complex. I am. You don't have to understand. Because the mind is in itself. There is no observer until the mind considers that there is something to observe. Me. It's complex. I am. You don't have to understand. Me. And why did we get here? I am. Because you asked. Simply. Me. Okay. So what is all that we do and consider life? I am. The periphery of the center. Center comes from kentron in Greek and means stimulus, related to the words thorn, dart, that which hits the target. Taking the concept of stimulus like the sting of a bee, the center is the pulse. It's the action, the idea, the eureka moment of the universe. Periphery comes from the Greek peri, around, and phero, to carry something. That is to say, to carry something from the center to its surroundings. What would be the impulse, the reaction, the thought? Like the cosmos, from the center, a spiral is projected, generating the idea of a circle that is repeated incessantly until it forms a sphere that expands from a nucleus. And when it reached its limits, it began to recede, like a pulse, receiving the effect of the cause of its heartbeat, returning to the center, like a dart, towards the origin. But actually, me, I am the point on my axis. Is that why it is said to go back to the center? This is why we are made to understand that everything is a perception of the mind, that we must find our access, because life that seems to change only changes because we turn. I am. Look at the sky, and your human vision will say, the sun rises, the sun sets, the moon rises, the moon sets, the sun passes through the sky, the stars move in the sky. Do you believe that life, history, time, space is everything that happens, that passes by, that turns incessantly? But it's not like that. It is the earth that rotates. It is you who moves on an axis, perceiving that everything else is moving when it's only you. Therefore, you are the center, and therefore everything comes to you and arises from you. Therefore, you are your only purpose and mission in life, and it is your center and access that will give meaning to the purpose and mission in what you do see outside. Me. Stop wanting to be on the periphery. Your place is in the center. My guides told me in the Ring of Podgar Circle in Scotland. I placed myself next to the losses when my place was the center. I did not understand at that moment. I believed it had to do with my position in life, to be the center of attention of people, of others, to be a guide, to be in the center and to be seen by everyone. But no, now I understand. Now I understand what they meant. The movement of the world arises from my access. I must be in the center of my life to be able to contemplate and generate it. I am. Welcome to the only possible destination in the entire universe, the center.